Oh yeah, nothing like standing water when you're working with electric. Oh yeah, look at that. Okay, let's open this baby up. Alright, so these were all the breakers that were tripped. And I had to put them back on. And like I said, we got the signal and flash. First thing I'm going to be looking at here is this conflict monitor. And I'm seeing a port 1 fail. That's my fault. Let's see, the controller. Okay, there's power to it at least. Cabinet diagnostic flash. One thing I like to do here too is I want to check the alarms to see what the controller logged. So I'm going to go to the local alarms and the alarm report, and I'm going to hit the up arrow to get the latest and greatest. And you can see I'm logging a bunch of frame faults in here. Yep, all of them. Looks like it's doing it. Oh geez, every so often it wants to log it. Probably not a good sign. May have a controller issue, but I'm going to go ahead and start by resetting it, cycling power to this, and see what happens. So we'll go ahead and turn this back on and see what happens now. Okay, controller's back on, but I went back to a port 1 fail. So let's look into this. So a little more information here. A port 1 fail means you're not getting SDLC communication to our devices here. And you can see where are we at here? Right there. There's no comm there. We don't have any comm on any of our devices down here. I'm leaning towards the controller being bad, since it's the one that initiates the communication. So I'm going to try replacing this controller and see what happens. Okay, I swapped out the controller, and I've currently got it in flash, but I just want to check to make sure when I turn this power back on that I get SDLC communication to the devices again, which will pretty much tell me by process of elimination that that controller that I just swapped out, the old one, was definitely the one keeping us from getting out of flash. But we're going to find out here as soon as I turn the power on. Let's just see what happens. It takes a second for it to turn on. Yep. So you can see now I've got SDLC communication on all the devices, and my monitor has come out of the red. The port 1 failure, and I am flashing now. So I think, barring any other conditions out in the field, we can go ahead and turn this signal on and get this thing up and going again. Okay, I'm gonna bring this signal out of flash. Damn it. Okay, we got something else going on here. We got conflicts on 2, 4, and 6. Looks like 4, we got a red and a green up at the same time. Possibly a bad load switch. We'll start there. One thing I like to do to try to do like kind of a process elimination, first thing I like to do, since I know I've got a red and green stuck on 4, is let's try to swap a load switch with a known, or hopefully known, good load switch, and see if the problem moves to a new phase or if it stays there. So I'm going to pull 4 out and 8, and I'm going to put 8 in the 4 slot and the 4 in the 8 slot, and try to reset the conflict monitor and see if it stays there. Okay, so now you noticed here we've got a different fault. It's a red fail on 1, but Notice I've got 8 with the red and green on now. So let's replace that load switch and see if we can't resolve that. All right, put the new load switch in phase 8. Let's reset it again. Okay, it looks at least like for now, sorry, get a good view here, that our 4 and 8 are no longer being, you don't have 2 indications of red and green, but you can see that now we still have 1 and 13 that appear to not have any load on it. And notice down here, 13 has no output at all. So let's replace that load switch. Okay, so I replaced this 13 load switch. You see there's still not an output on there. Now I checked my controller programming and it's set to output on that. So the way it's going to get down there is to the SDLC, and it's going to go through this BIU here. So I'm going to try to replace that and see if I start to get an output now. Okay, so come down here, pull this, and pull that out, put in a new BIU in its place. Slide that in there, and then we're going to go ahead and hook up the SDLC to it. Look at that, we've got an output now. Okay, so we replaced that. Now let's go on and see if bringing that out is going to work. Reset it. It's running in normal. Side streets are coming up. Green's going. Red's on the side street. Flashing yellow arrow's working. I'll walk this intersection, but I think we got the fix. We'll see. And my understanding, this is the pole that took the hit, and every one of these indications on this 4-section head are out. So I'll get a hold of the agency on that one and have them replace every one of those. So we got everything going again. I did find another thing wrong in the field, but I also noticed that we kept getting side streets coming up for no apparent reason. And I saw phase 8, which you see right there, a vehicle call phase 8. I can't get it to drop, and I checked the controller and it seems fine. So I want to, just out of curiosity, I know this card's good, it's just got 2 failed loops on the main line, but I'm going to use this card. And if you remember, again, we're just swapping to see if the problem moves. So let's put that one there. I'm thinking this card's bad, but we're just going to see if that's the case. Okay, we're going to put that in there. Alright, well, I might have failed there now. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, that's there. Look at that. Our phase 8 calls dropped. It was stuck on before, we couldn't get it to drop, so that detector card there is bad. The one last thing I noticed was our flashing yellow arrows kept coming up. The green arrow for one direction kept coming up, and that was for the phase 5 left turn, and it's showing failed. Now let's see, I'm just going to show it coming up here, but there it is right there. It came up. So we just cut these loops like in the past month. So, and that actually the contractor brought the wire directly in to here. So I was like, I checked the pull box and it's fine. So I was like racking my brain trying to figure out why that was failing. What I ended up doing, just to rule out because I put a new detector card in there, it still was not working. So I was like, well, let's just try to move the loop to an unused slot and move it over there. So what I did was I ended up bringing it over to detector 14. You see the slots open. So I moved the cable over to the input for detector 14. This is the cable that was giving me a problem, or at least I thought was giving me a problem. I took the card out, pushed it in. Now, let's see, let's just turn this one off because that channel's not being used on this slot currently, but just to show, there it is. It's actually not failing anymore. It's working. Someone was on that loop, it dropped out. So another thing that we found here is the back of this detector rack, the channel 2 slot, it must be fried back there because we tried different detector cards and I did try to swap out that BIU and nothing would do it, but moving the loop to an unused slot, it's working now. So like I said, another thing that this lightning strike took out was the channel 2 slot of that detector rack, which would be detector 4. No longer works. Now, after all that, we are finally, other than changing out those LEDs out in the street, everything is back to operational. And to top it all off, I'm not done yet. Looks like we have a PoE that is dead, and that feeds up to our, where's that at? Yeah, she's way over there. But that feeds to our broadband radio. I'm just gonna take a guess here that that's probably bad as well. Just to recap here, this is what the damage from lightning strike can do. You got a fried PoE, fried controller, bad load switch, bad BIU, bad detector card. That radio way over there is questionable because the PoE's fried. All 4 of those indications are blown out, will have to be replaced. And just to finish up here, that detector 4 input on this rack is no longer usable because the back, I guess the input for that has been blown out. So yeah, now you can see what lightning does. And I'm going to continue hammering this home. Document, document, document. Woo! That was a doozy. So you can see what lightning does. It does some definite damage inside the cabinet. The sucky part about all this is that cabinet is a brand new cabinet that we installed about a month ago. So all that new stuff we got in there, you know, fried. But it's the way it goes sometimes. So hope that was helpful. And if you got questions or comments, leave them below. See you next time.